Hello, everyone. Matt Larson here with Big Sioux Media again, as we have another report, another update with Dr. Summer Schultz, the Dell Rapids superintendent, as we've got more updates coming out from the governor yesterday. So we'll start there. Her recommendation, schools needing to be closed until May 1st. What's the school's response with that recommendation that came out yesterday?
We will adhere to Governor Noem's recommendation on not looking to start school up again until May 1st. May 1st is a Friday, so we will, with any luck, be able to open the doors on May 4th. I would believe that she will reevaluate that in a couple weeks. I think we're at a pretty critical time. We're coming into a critical time with this virus in South Dakota, so I worry that we won't be in on May 4th, but with any luck, that's our intention right now.
And with the, kids being out of class through that May 4th timeline, that obviously also means that the buildings will be closed to there isn't any changes with that, right?
There isn't. In fact, if anything, after today, we're really tightening things up. We have allowed some special services to take place out of the district buildings, and that will no longer happen after today. We now have community spread in our county, and so just to make sure we are keeping our staff and students away from that here at the district level, we are going to shut the buildings down a little bit more than they have been. So all special services will be done virtually. We know that we will possibly have some students who are going to need some compensatory services after we are able to open up this summer, and we are more than willing to do that. But right now, we're going to try to do all of those services virtually for those students we can. We are going to shut down the building offices. I will put this in a letter, but the elementary and the high school offices will be open from 8 to 10 every day. So if parents want to know what time to call for elementary and high school, 8 to 10, Eve and Heidi will be there. They'll be able to kind of, take those phone calls, keep things organized. At the middle school level, we're going to do it just based on email and voicemail at this time. So in all of the buildings, the secretaries and building principals will be checking emails, checking their phone, but we are just not going to have people in the building very often, and the doors will be locked.
So then we move into the e-learning. We've been about, 4 or 5 days into that. What's your assessment on how that's going? The good, maybe some things that might be improved, expectations of students so far?
Yeah, well, I think the word that comes to mind is grace. And grace is one of those words in our family we don't take lightly. But I need to ask people for their grace. I need them to understand that we have teachers who were asked to completely change how they taught and go to a different medium. I have students who are some who learn very differently than what we can give them on an e-learning setup. It's new, stress levels are high. So although we're excited we can offer this so that our students are still able to get some of those learning, those key learning elements that we want to get them, we know, especially this first week, that it's stressful. And so I just ask everybody to take a step back and to really provide that grace to their kids, teachers, to their administrators, and to everybody who's we're all trying to navigate what a normal day looks like anymore. I think it looks very different at all three of our levels. So I just wanted to make sure parents understood, especially at the elementary level, if you think of a normal elementary classroom, we are educating kids of all different levels. And so you probably are receiving a lot of options for your kiddos. I know in my family that's what it is. I have a kindergartner who, there's a lot of things out there. And some days it's going to be okay for your child to maybe just go on and just do their Waterford that day, or just do Mr. Jaden's PE activity. Keep in mind, I think there's videos and things out there of kids. Let your kid be social. That's as much social as some of them are going to get. It's okay that you don't get everything done that's being sent. We are still educating maybe at a high level, knowing that not everyone will get everything done. That's absolutely okay. We just ask for some effort to be there. We don't want to overwhelm parents. We know this first week is overwhelming, so please, we just ask them, especially elementary, middle school, take a step back, know that it's okay that everything doesn't get done. Let us know what we can do to help. let your teacher know what would maybe make life easier in your family. And I do think by next week we'll all be in a better groove. We just got to kind of take it slow, give our grace to those teachers right now.
Oh, I can relate to that. Having a student in the K prep program, that we're still trying to figure out that whole balance with two parents working from home, and when do we get up and start the class and find the time for all of that. So yeah, I can truly relate to that. That this week is certainly busy and trying to figure out the whole new schedule.
Yep. And so I just really want, to reiterate, last night was day 2. And I sent my kindergartner to bed without her homework done. We just didn't get to it. But the great thing about e-learning is she could wake up early today, and then she went on and did some of those lessons she missed. Again, we're not policing all of that. We are really trying to guide kids to hit some of those big target areas. At the high school level, I need people to remember, I got kids who are going to be going and taking the ACT. They're going to be taking the SAT. I have high school seniors who are going to be sitting in a college algebra or college biology class next fall. We still have a commitment to provide them the best learning we can. We know that's not going to look the same for each kid, and we just want to try to make sure parents understand it's okay if everything doesn't get done.
That's great. So now as we transitioned a little bit about some of the activities that were supposed to be happening here throughout the months of April and May. You look at prom, obviously that's out with the buildings being closed until May. We look ahead to graduation. The spring sports we found out are on hold at least until that May 3rd. It seems like the state tournament for the boys basketball team is still in that limbo area. I haven't heard a definite from the Activities Association on that. And then we even further out into driver's ed. What's all of that look like so far? We're not sure. How's that for an answer? No, what I can tell you is, prom we talked about last time, and I hate to say it, but we aren't going to be able to have prom at Dell Rapids this year. Even if we were to come back in May, at this point, we think it could be a very late decision. I would hate for people to continue to purchase gowns, rent tuxedos, thinking we could maybe do something that first week in May, and then we can't. So we just want families to move forward. That prom is not going to happen. Graduation's a little bit different because graduation buys us a little bit more time. It's about 5-6 weeks farther out than prom. What I'm telling families is I'm not much help on what you should do as a family as far as a party. Your child is still going to graduate from Dell Rapids. They're still going to get a diploma. Now, we might not be able to have a public ceremony, but again, kind of like prom was 2 weeks ago, I just can't answer that question. I think we're going to have better answers as we move through April, that of the possibility of having a public ceremony or a small-scaled ceremony. Right now, we're just on hold. We want to hold out on that decision as long as we can with the hopes that we can do a ceremony, knowing that it could be later that we have to make that final determination. And I'm assuming you're hearing the same thing on the sports as, what everybody else is with the Activities Association.
We are. There's some votes, there's some meetings right now, some virtual meetings with the Activities Association on if schools come back May 1st, technically probably May 4th, would we try in our state to have some sort of finale in those spring sports? They probably wouldn't have a lot of the events leading up to it, but maybe we could have a final event in each of those activities, whether it be fine arts or athletics. There's some votes going on with that today or this week, keeping in mind that if we don't come back to school May 1st, that option would go away. We have not been informed that the state tournament has been canceled yet, so those kids are still just in limbo. I think they're still holding on to a little hope. And again, that May 1st date's probably going to play into that.
Sure.
You had mentioned driver's ed. We have a lot of questions coming in on driver's ed. What I can tell people right now is there's a little exploration in our state on if it's possible for us to do a virtual driver's ed classroom component. If there is, we are willing to do that for our students. And then with any luck, we'd be able to start the driving in June at some time. Again, we're just exploring that as a state. If our state decides that's an option, Dell Rapids is going to do everything we can to do that for our kids. So driver's ed isn't out. I wouldn't be able to put Mr. Jorgensen in a car with kids until the state gives us the okay. We might be able to get that virtual online classroom component finished should the state give us that as an option.
All right. Now, we've talked about this before with the lunch surveys in the emergency haven like last time. How is that going to continue then for the next month or so?
It is going to continue. The lunch surveys come out every weekend, so I send those out, and then we can kind of get a head count. If you haven't RSVP'd or given us your tally as far as just pickup, please know that we always make extras. The deliveries is a little bit more important. I give my delivery routes to the drivers either the night before or the morning of, so those really need to be in there the day before so that I don't miss any deliveries. But if anything changes or I need to add a delivery, people can just email me, give me a call. I have no problem adding it. Our critical infrastructure haven is up and going. It's a small group this week, which we were thankful for as we try to figure out those check-in components following, the CDC guidelines. We see that benefit or that service expanding as more daycares have to close and as more employers are needed. As like I said, we know there's now the number of cases in our county are expanding. We know those healthcare workers are going to get taxed more. And so we just want to provide that service, and it will be. And people can just reach out to me if they want, have more questions about it and didn't get in on the initial survey.
All right. Anything else that you want to cover in this update? I know again, it seems to change hour by hour right now.
I do. I have one more thing as far as the e-learning goes. What I want to do, and I'm not sure this is a good idea or not, but we know there's maybe some little tweaks. There's some small frustrations that we could solve. We could try to get in front of if we had the information. And I think there's parents out there who are probably struggling a little bit with how the e-learning works. And if they could get a couple quick questions answered, or they could vent a couple frustrations, or they could say, Summer, have you considered this? It might make next week a little bit more manageable for some people. So what I'm setting up on our homepage is just it's a survey site for people to go in, tell me what their name is, tell me what their concern is, and or if they have a specific question. Now, again, I ask for that grace. I ask for them to not just go, okay, we're 2 days in, I give up, I'm done. I ask them to truly help me make this a better process. I will share the information with our tech coordinators, our building principals. So somewhere on our website, right where we have the other COVID-19 information, there will be a little link for people to go in. I'm the only one who's going to see it, but I need parents to also include their contact information so that I can follow up with them when I have an answer. So I want them to look for that.
All right. Well, again, thank you for taking the time to get some information out. I'm sure we'll be talking again in the near future about more updates as this continues on.
All right. Thanks so much, Matt.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.